Welcome to What's the TVV, the podcast produced by the City of Victorville. I'm your host, Sue Jones, Public Information Officer. In this episode, we're going to explore the city's role in economic development. We hear from our community often about what businesses we're attracting, why do certain businesses choose to build in our city, and so we're going to take a deep dive into that issue and really explain how economic development works. Joining me is our Deputy City Manager, Tony Camargo. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So before we get too far into it, why don't you tell us a little bit about your job and the departments you oversee?
I oversee economic development, the fire department, community services, and information technology.
What is economic development?
So economic development, it's the process of improving the quality of life for the community. We're also in charge of marketing, bringing new businesses, retaining businesses within the city, building relationships with developers, businesses, investors, franchisees.
And what really is it about our city that would attract businesses to come here?
So there's a lot of benefits. The business side, the city is really pro-business. We have several functions in place where we focus on the pro-development, pro-business side. And as you know, Victorville is a large city, almost 75 square miles. And with that comes a lot of vacant land. So with the vacant land comes affordable pricing, affordable land. It's very affordable compared to what we call down the hill, just 30 minutes down to the south of us. We've seen a significant increase in population over the last 20 years. So the Victor Valley region has a population of approximately 450,000. We've done some data analysis, and by 2028, we're expecting that Victor Valley region to increase by approximately 30,000 people. I don't think it's going to stop. I think because we have that affordable land, we're pro-development, pro-business, we're going to continue to see that quality of life enhance in the city of Victorville.
Does the city actually build the business?
So the city does not build the business, and we do get that question up from time to time of, well, why are you building this, or how come you can't build that? So although we can't build that, what we do in as economic development is we build the relationship with either the developer or the business owner to entice them to come to the city. And that requires us sharing data, demographics, what our workforce looks like, and previous competitors, because if there's no competitors, that's another enticing aspect for them to come to the city.
What are some of the things that might be a challenge to some of the businesses actually picking Victorville to locate?
We conducted a survey back in the fall of 2023. One of the top requests in that survey was entertainment. So for example, we've reached out to several businesses who focus on the entertainment industry who are outside of California. So we're trying to entice them to come into California, but we obviously get the honest feedback from them that says, well, we're interested in coming to California, but there's environmental regulations, the fees are expensive, the building code's different, so it definitely puts a burden on us. But that's not to say that we don't continue to reach out to them to market the city of Victorville. In some businesses right now, we're in an odd time with the economy, so there's a lot of hesitation on not just our industry in the city, but throughout the state, throughout the country. A lot of developers, a lot of investors are hesitant on where they're investing right now just because of that market. But there are certain regulations that the state of California limits on those outside businesses looking at coming into the state of California, whether that's Victorville or not. We have some pretty strict environmental regulations. Our building codes are a little different, and some of the fees. We have fees, and then our increase of wages, it's the highest in the country. So a lot of businesses kind of avoid coming to California because of that. Although we have the demand, we've been told that it's just they're a little hesitant to come to California at this time.
Yeah, it's like simply it's just too expensive maybe.
Exactly.
But despite that, I think a bragging point that I've heard is that we're a city of first. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So a lot of people don't know this. Victorville was the first city to have a Walmart in the state of California, a Cracker Barrel, although they're spread out throughout the United States. This was the first one to come to California, and then most recently the Freddy's Custard and Steak Burgers. We've also had, if some people are familiar with Pharmacy Board Shop, it originated here in Victorville, and they've expanded outside of the state of California.
Are there other recent wins that, businesses that have come here that you wanted to highlight?
Sprouts just opened in 2023. That was big for us, and I think not only for the city of Victorville, but the entire Victor Valley. We've heard from the residents and the community that was a demand on their end.
Is it true that we get, I feel like I've heard maybe about 200 new businesses a year on average?
Yes, yeah. So that it seems like a lot, and it is. So last year we had over 200 new businesses pull licenses. So that's a lot for the city. A lot of people do ask that question of, when are you going to allow new businesses to come to the city of Victorville? When are you going to open this new business? And although, like you mentioned earlier, we don't as a city open these businesses, but we allow them and guide them to that process to come into the city of Victorville to conduct and open their business.
A lot of our residents ask us about what we're doing with Old Town. Can you talk a little bit about some of the efforts we have to revitalize Old Town?
Absolutely. So we're in the process right now of doing our first Old Town Facade Improvement Program. So this began last year. We actually received Community Development Block Grant Funds, also known as CDBG. They have the ability to apply for this program through our Old Town Facade program if they're looking to enhance their facade. So while we have a certain project area, it's along D Street and 7th Street, and it's restricted to 7th Street. We know 7th Street's almost 2.5 miles long because, as you know, and most people know, Route 66 runs through that area. So there's a lot of rich history that we want to focus there, especially with it coming up on its 100-year anniversary in 2 years. We're really trying to implement and create a really nice environment down there, and we just want people to have another form of entertainment and a joy to go visit in the city of Victorville. In addition, in 2022, the City Council actually took action to waive all development impact fees. So sometimes we call these as DIF fees, and what that is the developers required, as soon as they build from the ground up, they're required to pay for these development impact fees. So to entice the development in the Old Town area, the City Council actually took that action to waive those DIF fees to make it more enticing and more favorable for them to come into the city of Victorville, specifically Old Town. Also, the city of Victorville is looking at having the first CREA in the state of California. For those who don't know what CREA is, so CREA is the Community Revitalization Investment Authority. We're working with the San Bernardino County on their fair share contribution. I think people are expecting that as soon as this CREA is established, that it's just going to bring in millions and millions of dollars, but it takes time. So how this happens is it's tax increments. So anytime the value of a home goes up and that person either refinances or sells their house, that's when that tax increment comes into place, and then that's when those funds would go to the CREA. So although we find value in it and it bringing millions of dollars in the future, it's not something that's done overnight. And in the meantime, that's why we have our other efforts of our facade improvement program, the waiving of development impact fees, and so forth.
One of the things I feel like I've heard too is that there's going to be this idea to maybe change the configuration of 7th Street.
So actually there's an RFP right now out for solicitation for a streetscape improvement. So what that is along 7th Street in that corridor area, there's a streetscape improvement that's going to allow pedestrian-friendly parking. So there's downtowns that we've all been to, and there's the on-street parking, and it makes it obviously more pedestrian-friendly, allows you to visit the businesses more proactively and conveniently. So that's something we're looking at implementing within the next year. That RFP should be closing in the next couple of months. So we're excited to see that project come to fruition because it's been in the works for a long time.
And there'll also be like this maybe mixed use?
Absolutely. So a part of the DIF waiver is we're trying to attract what we call mixed use. So mixed use is going to be 2-3-story concept. The first story is all of your retail, and then everything above that first story, second, third story is going to be your residential. But we really would like to see that because we're trying to enhance the businesses down in the Old Town. And if they can live there, shop there, it's just going to continue to enhance that area.
That's so exciting. I would love to live in a place like that where I could just, leave my apartment, walk downstairs, get my coffee, go over, get a book, sit down and enjoy my lunch right there.
Absolutely. And I mean, you're enjoying the history too.
That is so exciting to hear. What kinds of businesses or industries are you trying to attract right now?
So we like to focus on multiple. but we did conduct a survey last fall, and the number one result or the number one demand was entertainment. And we're attending trade shows, conferences, because not only do we want to see what the industry standard is, but we want to kind of be ahead of the curve, and we want to market the city to say, hey, if you're coming to this city, we have the same opportunity and we have the same demand. There is entertainment up here, but a lot of the residents in Victorville, they're driving down the hill to get that entertainment component.
You mentioned trade shows. What are some other efforts that you guys are undertaking to attract businesses?
So we do attend multiple trade shows throughout the year. Most importantly, I think, is what we call ICSC, International Council of Shopping Centers. So that's a large conference where it's not just regionally, state level, it's actually nationally and global. So what we do is we meet with these developers, these franchisees, these businesses, and we kind of sell the city of Victorville. We're telling them why Victorville is a great place, what we have to offer, the demographics, median income, and so forth. We also take staff from the planning department. And we take staff from the planning department because sometimes there are questions from the developer that they want to know, what's the zoning look like? Are there any permits required? Does it have to go to planning commission? Is this even appropriate? So while we're attending ICSC specifically, we're a part of a group called Team California. So Team California is a group of multiple agencies, which is cities, towns, and economic development authorities. There's about 79 of those throughout the state of California who are a part of Team California. Being a part of Team California allows the city to attend trade shows even though we're not there. So Team California attends numerous trade shows throughout the year, and while we're not there, they're marketing Victorville for us. Additionally, we've done market analysis, and it's really neat to see because we've analyzed how many people are actually leaving this region to go down the hill for entertainment, for food. And not only are we able to see where they're going, but we're able to see where they're going after that. So it really allows us to focus on and drill down on what that industry looks like. And then lastly, our permitting center. So this is something that we've established. It's been years in the making, but it's really focused on that pro-business, pro-development efforts for the city. So within this permit center, there's multiple departments that consist of engineering, fire, planning, and building. So we have an online portal, what we call a pre-submittal application. So if a business or developer is interested in bringing or developing a business here in the city, they actually just go to our website, they submit their application, and within 2 weeks, they'll have comments back from all 4 departments. It's a very quick turnaround because staff is actually analyzing and looking at what those conditions are for their projects. So they can be in the early stages of a project and not know where they're at. But as soon as we give them comments, it actually gives them that ability to say, well, is this project feasible? Can we make this work?
The whole one-stop shop that you're describing, is that common for other cities or is that unique?
It's unique, and I think the reason, because we're so pro-development, is we wanted it to be convenient for the end user.
Yeah, and I can imagine if you're a developer or a business investor, you would really appreciate things to be moving along quickly.
Oh yeah, and I mean, we see it when we attend these trade shows, especially ICSC, that developers will come up to us and they say, hey, we would just want to thank you for your support and how efficient and how easy this process was. And by them saying that, it gets the attention of other developers. So it's a really good process that's been put in place, and it's obviously yielded tremendous success.
We've talked a lot about what y'all are doing from the economic development team, what y'all are doing to attract new businesses, but what is it that you do to support our current businesses?
Obviously, focusing on new businesses is important, but just as equally, we want to retain our businesses. Last year, we created a new campaign called My Biz in VV. So this campaign is really cool. We've had a lot of fun with it. Every month, we post a question on our social media that allows you to answer a simple question, and as a part of that, you're entered into a drawing. So with that drawing, if you're the winner, you could potentially win up to a free marketing video with the value up to $2,000. So we have an internal team that goes out, films it, edits it. Not only do we share it on our platform with a large following, but we also give that video back to the owner so they can share it on their social media as well. It really focuses and allows the community to know what types of businesses are here that we might not know about. In addition, we have a new campaign that we're starting called Keep It Local, Shop Victorville. So we're excited about that, and that obviously, again, is focused on retaining businesses in the city. And what we're doing is here shortly, we'll be rolling out a survey. So we've seen it elsewhere where, hey, what's your favorite burger? Or what's your favorite burrito? Or where's your favorite place to go get a haircut? In the future, we'll be rolling out this new campaign that really focuses on what our gyms are in the city of Victorville, and we'll continue to share that with the community.
Yeah, I think that's great because as a city, we don't want to be picking one business over another. Let the residents say what their favorite burger joint is or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is a great time for the community because the community always has valuable feedback. And now we get to gather their feedback and share those results with them. So we're really excited to see what this project yields. As a part of retaining businesses, we provide several scholarships with Victor Valley College. And that allows us to enhance our workforce. Because as we know, a lot of our workforce, they're qualified and they're talented, but unfortunately, a lot of them are driving down the hill to commute. And instead of us losing them to that area down there, we're trying to retain those here in the city.
What kind of scholarships are they?
So we have 2 scholarships that we support and that we sponsor, and one of them is our firefighter paramedic. The scholarship is essential because we want to get this firefighter at the entry level into our system, because a lot of them that attend VVC, they do have roots here, and we want them to maintain those roots here with their families. So if we can get them into our fire department by providing a paramedic scholarship, they're more likely to succeed and stay within the city of Victorville. Also, the city of Victorville has an airport, Southern California Logistics Airport, and as a part of this scholarship program, there's 2 aviation scholarships that we sponsor. There's a large maintenance and repair industry out at our airport. A lot of those services are seeking individuals that are skilled and qualified. So we definitely think that by providing a scholarship to those, it introduces them into that field for aviation.
Yeah, and our airport, the Southern California Logistics Airport, very few people have ever seen it, or many residents haven't even heard of it. But to us, it's the economic engine of the high desert.
So that is the largest employment center in the entire region. There's over 7,000 jobs out at the Southern California Logistics Airport, and it's continuing to grow. I mean, it's booming right now. In the last 3 years, we've developed over 3.5 million square feet of industrial space. They're actually developing another 1.3 million square foot building now, and there's several in the pipeline. So we really think that airport is going to continue to grow. And like you said, a lot of people aren't familiar with the airport out in that side of the area. So yeah, I encourage those that haven't been out to the airport to drive out there, and you're going to see a lot of industrial growth out there because it is a former Air Force base. So the goal is to enhance those jobs that were lost at the closure of the base and bring those jobs back up to fruition.
Supporting local businesses is an important part of our strategic plan to have a thriving economy in the city of Victorville. One way we support our local businesses is through our MyBiz and VV social media drawing. Each month, we invite licensed Victorville businesses to enter the drawing by following our Facebook or Instagram and commenting on our posts using the hashtag MyBiz and VV that answers the question of the month. The winner will receive a fully produced promo video to use in promoting their business, valued at $2,000. We'll also post the video to our social media pages and highlight it in our newsletter. Be sure to keep an eye out on our social media pages. Our next winner could be you.
It's time for our City of Victorville News Roundup. In mid-August, we launched our project to update the traffic signals on 7th Street to include additional ADA and safety features. Traffic signals between Lorraine Drive and B Street will be replaced with 4-way stops while the traffic signals are updated. This project should be complete by the first week of September. Our Wellness Center assists unsheltered individuals and families with recuperative care, medical, and comprehensive support services while addressing their housing needs. It's at the heart of our strategic goal to reduce homelessness in the city of Victorville. Over 60 individuals have graduated from our Wellness Center to permanent housing solutions. Regular outreach conducted by our homeless engagement team and shelter operators is an essential part of connecting individuals with Wellness Center services. Recently, in a single day, our team team connected 8 individuals with interim housing and provided essential services to 27. Additionally, we were awarded a $200,000 grant from Kaiser Foundation to be used for recuperative care services at our city's wellness center. We're seeking retail, display, and nonprofit vendors to participate in our Fall Festival, the largest street fair experience in the high desert. If you're interested, please apply on our website at victorvilleca.gov/special events. Fall Festival will be on October 5th from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. in front of City Hall. Be sure to drop by on this day filled with live music, fun entertainment, kids' rides and games, a beer garden, and great food and drink. Entrance and activities are free of charge. Our Victorville Veterans Day celebration is planned for November 11th, and you're invited to participate. We're seeking participants in our parade and veterans to be honored during the ceremony. The parade application and veteran information form are available on our website at victorvilleca.gov/Veterans Day and will be accepted through October 13th. Victorville residents are invited to pick up free compost at the City of Victorville Recycling Drop-Off Center located off of Anacapa Road. The center is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and from 8 a.m. to noon on Saturdays. We also invite you to get your free kitchen scrap container at City Hall, the library, or Hook Community Center while supplies last. These free, reusable containers make it easier than ever to recycle your kitchen scraps and reduce landfill waste.
Welcome to Council Corner, our roundup of noteworthy council items from the past month. On August 20th, the City Council approved an amendment to the Professional Services Agreement with LPA Incorporated to complete the design of a new police station and Civic Plaza to be located on the lot across from the car dealerships on Civic Drive, which was recently acquired by the city. The council also approved contracts for 2 infrastructure improvement projects during its meeting on August 20th. A construction contract in the amount of nearly $717,000 was awarded to Kirtley Construction to restore a storm drain on Eucalyptus Street that was damaged during Hurricane Hilary. A contract in the amount of $1.6 million was awarded to Pavement Coatings to add slurry seal and repair streets in 17 areas throughout the city. Finally, the council approved the acceptance of 5 grants from various California state agencies, totaling more than $513,000 to create a cleaner Victorville with programs that promote recycling and proper waste disposal.
Now that we've reviewed the economic development process, we're going to discuss the role of city planning and business development in our city. And joining me is our Deputy City Manager, Scott Webb. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're one of our deputy city managers. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your position?
Well, thank you, Sue. I appreciate you bringing me on the show. Been in the organization for 19 years. So I've recently been promoted to deputy city manager. So I grew up in the organization through the planning department. I have the building department, engineering, and also code enforcement, which includes animal control.
So you are a city planner for many years.
Yes.
What is it about planning that interested you? Why did you go into that profession?
Like most kids, they're going into college and they don't know exactly what they want to do. It wasn't until I took a career exploration course that I realized that city planning was like right up my alley. And I remember I loved playing SimCity as a kid. And it's just a game that, helps you lay out cities, build metropolises. And I took drafting in high school, so I was fortunate enough to get my degree in urban and regional planning from Cal Poly Pomona. Started working here shortly after graduating, and here I am now. So it's a great organization to work for. Growing up locally here, I feel like I'm more invested in wanting to make positive change in the community. It's a dynamic city to work for, 74 square miles, so I never get bored.
Planning has a big part in economic development and business development in our city. Can you talk a little bit about the role of the planning department in all of that?
Sure. So the planning department, they interact with a variety of businesses from, your small home-based business all the way to a large-scale commercial industrial developer. And so one of the joys we have as planners is we get to work with these individuals and explain all of the complicated rules that come along with development and operating businesses. There's a misconception, though, that a lot of people think, the city standards, all of this stuff. We're a subdivision of the state, so a lot of the rules that we impose as the city are not created by the city. Not only planners, but other departments like our engineering and building department have staff that explain all of these rules and laws that have been mainly instituted by the state. We do have local standards. One of the cornerstones of that is our city's general plan. And the city's general plan sets the growth for our city, both short-term and long-term. It really sets the stage for the developers so they understand where they can develop. Not only does it dictate where certain uses can occur, it also dictates like the goals that we're trying to achieve as a community.
Is that like what would be referred to as zoning?
Yes, it's the foundation to our zoning. So it sets up classifications and zones and a set of rules of what type of businesses and intensities can occur in that area.
Why would we worry about that? Why would we dictate that businesses can go in certain locations and not others?
Well, it's a quality of life issue. I mean, it dates back to the 10th Amendment where states are allowed to have this broad regulatory oversight. It's evolved over time, and our city will continue to evolve with new regulations. As a local city, we have the ability to put laws in place to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of our citizens.
Can you give examples of the kinds of zoning?
Throughout our 74 square miles of a city, we have different classifications. Everyone's familiar pretty much with a residential district, whether it's multifamily or single family, and then you have your commercial and industrial districts. Newer developments now, we have mixed use zones, so we're trying to develop more of those type of variety of uses.
In your neighborhood, you wouldn't want like an auto repair shop right next door.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the foundation of zoning is, whether it's noise pollution, air pollution, we're trying to set standards for everyone to be able to live in peace.
What's the process that a business would go through if they want to build a new business in our city?
It's a variety of tracks, but if they're wanting to just open a business, they need to get a business license. So they'd come into the city, we'd be able to explain to them, they'd get a business license. If there's any improvements that they need to do inside, they'd get a permit for that and they'd start operating. The more complicated developments is when they're building ground up. We have a process which we call a pre-submittal process, a pre-application, so to speak, where people could come in free of charge. They submit their plans, and they could be rough plans, but they just have an idea of what they want to do. And what we do is we route those plans to our in-house departments, and we sit down and go over those plans with the applicant. And so they leave that meeting with an understanding of what's expected of them. We explain both local and state standards to them, so they have a good understanding of what they're getting themselves into. And so from there, they can choose whether or not they want to proceed with the project or not. So we get a lot of those inquiries weekly, and so it's great to meet with the developers and help cultivate a good development or help them pivot to a new location.
So what are some of the programs that we have in place to help businesses through this process?
Well, the pre-submittal is one. We've had a variety of workshops. One that comes to example is a recent one that we've had about street vending. We've partnered with the Department of Public Health to educate those that want to know more about the permitting process. But, staff is available. I mean, we have this nice City Hall building, whether it's through phone, email, or our online permit system. Folks can contact our staff to talk through these issues. A lot of people that get into business at first, they're kind of overwhelmed with the amount of regulation. So we try to break that down for them, make them understand what the meaning is behind some of these regulations. In most of the cases, they're not even local standards, they're state standards that we're just explaining to them.
So Scott, we hear a lot from our community and out in social media about, we only get car washes and gas stations. Is that true?
I ask myself the same thing. Like, we are getting a lot of them, but we have to look at what the demand is. Look, as as someone that's American, it's part of our culture. We love our cars. Yes, we have seen an uptick in recent years, but it's based off of demand and convenience. These establishments have been evolving over time, and in particular the car wash industry. They now have a membership model. It doesn't have that large overhead. It makes sense for investors to invest in them and build because they can turn a profit. We as the cities set the standards, okay? And it's the developer that chooses whether or not to build or not. And within our commercial districts, there's a variety of businesses that you can build. And it's the developer that has to make that decision whether or not it's worth it to go through that development process and be heard before the Planning Commission.
So the city's not building the business.
That's correct. Part of what the Planning Commission will review is the market analysis that the developer will put together. And there has to be a demonstrated need, and the Planning Commission wants to see their evaluation of it. Looking back at, the recent developments that have been built, there has been some positives. It's, they put in all of their required infrastructure improvements, so we've been the benefits of new traffic signals. They've also demolished, restaurants that are no longer in use. Developments have a lifespan, and this is another one that's evolving and will continue to evolve. For example, gas stations as well. They're also now including electrical charging stations with them to meet the need of the community.
We learned that there's over 200 or about 200 new businesses a year that come to Victorville, and car washes and gas stations really are just a percentage of that.
It is. They're a small percentage. There's a lot of development that, folks on their normal drive here and there, maybe not, they don't see it. And for example, out at our Southern California Logistics Airport, there's millions of square feet that are going up right now as we speak. So it's exciting.
Can you explain what the Planning Commission is and what their role is in all of this?
As planners, we don't make standards in a void. We need public input. And so the Planning Commission serves as an interface with the public. There are 5 individuals that are appointed by the City Council, and that commissioner would run the same term as a City Council member. What they do is hold regular public meetings. We hold these meetings here at City Hall. They essentially serve as a judge. They want to be able to hear what the public has to say during these publicly noticed meetings. And then from there, they evaluate all the evidence and look at our standards that have been set. And they determine whether or not that development or that use meets our standards, and then they take action.
Can you tell us when those meetings are, just in case anybody wants to go?
Those meetings are the second Wednesday of every month at 5 p.m. And they're available on YouTube, so there's no reason why people can't tune in.
And folks are welcome to come in and just comment, right, and share their thoughts about these projects.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening. What's the TVV is produced by the City of Victorville. If you have a topic you would like to see on future episodes, leave a comment or review on your preferred platform.